Back on March 3rd, 2019, I decided to make a drastic change. I was tired of the way that I felt. I was tired of the way that I looked. I was just plain old tired. Instead of doing something short-term to get short-term results and then go back to the way that things were before, I wanted to do something for the long term. What I wanted to do was a lifestyle change. I did research on lots of different ways to do this, and what appealed most to me was to kick off my lifestyle change with a 60-day keto challenge. It's been just past 60 days, and I want to share with you the results of my personal own challenge from days 1 all the way to 60 and everything in between. My name is Rory Anderson, my real name that is, but most people know me on this channel as Bigfoot. Bigfoot is my trail name. I am an avid hiker, backpacker, outdoor enthusiast. My name was given to me by my brother when I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail. I have been considerably active the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And during all this time, I thought that I could eat anything that I wanted as long as I just exercised. And if I had some extra sweets or maybe an extra calorie here or there, I would just be able to burn it off with how hard I would work out or how long I would hike for. Back in 2016, I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail, 2,200 miles. I did it in just under 100 days. I was the heaviest I've ever been when I started the Appalachian Trail. My body weight at the time when I started on Springer Mountain and headed northbound from Georgia to Maine was 212.5 pounds. During the course of the next 100 days, I lost a drastic amount of weight and ended on top of Mount Katahdin in Maine, sitting at 168.5 pounds. During the course of my 100-day journey, I lost almost 45 pounds. My waist size went from a 38 down to a 30. I was on top of the world. Came back into life, and just like what I've done in years in the past, I went back to my normal lifestyle. Although I went on all different types of hikes, my eating styles and habits never really changed. Well, that's when things caught up with me. Going into 2019, on March 2nd, before I started this challenge, I crept back up to the 200 mark. As a matter of fact, I started my 60-day keto challenge at a very heavy weight of 202 pounds. I was really disappointed with myself. I felt like crap, and I knew that this time I had to do something different. Just working out hard, working out longer, hiking longer was not enough. What I needed to do is I really needed to regulate and change the way that I ate. So on March 3rd, when I started my 60-day keto challenge with the weight of 202 pounds, my body mass index was at 31%. Now, how the keto diet works is it's a high-fat, moderate protein, and low-carb diet. What I started with the first couple weeks was to restrict my carb intake to no more than 20 to 25 carbs a day. Now, to help track my carb intake, fat, and protein intake, I use Carb Manager. Starting off the first 4 days of keto, I was really surprised how easy of a transition that it was for me. I was used to eating a lot of sugar, a lot of sweets. The first week, I had no cravings of sweets. I couldn't believe it. During the first 4 days of keto, I dropped my weight from 202 down to 196.5. So I lost 5.5 pounds the first 4 days. Now, the weight that I lost really was mainly just water weight. It was water weight from the carbs exiting my system. Now, even though I knew this was just water weight for the most part, mentally, it was pretty nice getting on the scale each and every day and losing 1 to 2 pounds of water weight. That honestly made me committed, and I felt like after the first 4 days that not only did I want to continue doing this, but I was really excited and motivated to stick with this. So the mental side of the start of keto really helped me persevere through the struggles of switching from a high carb diet to a low carb, high fat diet. Now, the next 3 days, I only lost 0.5 pound. When I got on the scale at the end of day 7, I weighed 196 pounds. So 6 pounds of weight loss, which is still good, but I was a little defeated with the sense that I only lost a half a pound after 3 days. Now, right around day 7 is when someone reached out to me and wanted to offer her assistance and her expertise in this area and help me with this lifestyle change. Her name was Andy. Andy became my health coach. She said that restricting my diet to 25 carbs or under didn't give my body the nutrients that it really needed. She recommended to stay somewhere below 50 carbs to give myself the opportunity to get the vegetables that my body really needs. And she recommends is really kind of just sticking with the colors of the rainbow with different vegetables for your diet. What I did is adjust my carb intake from 25 to 40. I just wanted to make sure that I stayed somewhere 40 or under. Now, after speaking with Andy, I just felt like I had a lot of clarity with what I needed to do. So I adjusted some of my diet. I obviously adjusted my carb intake and just felt empowered. This was what my routine looked like during the week. Monday through Friday, I typically would start off the day with a cup of bulletproof coffee. I would put a tablespoon of unsalted organic butter with half a tablespoon of coconut oil. I would brew my coffee into that. I would also throw 2 to 3 tablespoons of heavy cream and then top it off with a sweetener, organic liquid stevia. So that was typically what I would have for breakfast. Now, in lunch, I would have one of a variety of things. If I was in a restaurant, I work for McDonald's, so I'm in the restaurants a lot, I would typically have a quarter pounder with cheese with no bun, no ketchup, no pickle. Sometimes I would throw a shot of mayo on there. Now, if I wasn't in the restaurants and I was just out and about, I found myself going to Chipotle a lot. There were so many great options that I could eat at Chipotle. I would do my own version of a keto bowl. That was kind of a savior for me because I really enjoyed Chipotle, and that really kind of just made me easing into keto a lot easier of a transition. Now, the other place that I often would frequent was Herberts and Gerberts, and I would typically get the Narmer and get that on a salad wrap. So those were kind of my go-tos if I was out and about. Now, if I was at home, I would typically eat snacks like macadamia nuts, almonds. I would have hard-boiled eggs. Sometimes I would just cook eggs or maybe an omelet or something like that. Or if we had some leftovers from what we ate the night before. Now, for dinner, we pretty much cooked every single night. We would have either a steak or a steak salad. We would have walleye, salmon. We had salmon quite a lot. And then we would add veggies with that. So green beans, Brussels sprouts, peppers, onions, again, kind of all the colors of the rainbow. Now, after 30 days, I got down to 193 and I was feeling, pretty good. Lost 9 pounds in 30 days. If I tracked that, I would be just under 20 pounds. And, I was pretty happy with that, but I was starting to kind of hit a plateau. So after talking with Andy, I started to implement fasting. Intermittent fasting to my diet. Now, what I personally did Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays is when I implemented fasting into my diet. I would stop eating sometime around 8 p.m. and I wouldn't start eating until noon. Now, this is a 16-hour fast, and from some of the research I did, you really don't start to get the benefit of fasting until you hit that 16-hour mark. Anything from 16 hours up to 48 hours, you just have more positive impacts after each hour that passes. The second week, I started to do 18-hour fast. So I would typically stop eating at like 7 p.m. and then I wouldn't start eating until like 1 p.m. Now, it was pretty easy for me to not eat after 7 p.m. all the way till like 11. Just those couple hours of lunch seemed to get a little bit more difficult that second week, and that was more of just habitual. After the first 2 weeks of fasting, so this brings me up to day 45, I lost 8 pounds. I was really feeling awesome. I was really happy about the results. So at day 45, I was at 185 pounds, which was a total weight loss of 17 pounds. Now, my stretch goal to get to is I wanted to be able to get below 180, which that was a stretch goal. I didn't think it was possible. Below 180 by the time I hit my 60-day keto mark. Sometime between the second to third week of April, anytime that I ate a moderate meal, I would get sick. I would have really bad stomach aches. I just didn't feel good. I'd have to lay down. I didn't get it. And then I started to have symptoms of food sickness. I had diarrhea. on top of my stomach aches. And then about 3 days later, I ended up vomiting. So I had all of the symptoms of food sickness. I don't know where it came from. Maybe Chipotle. I ate it almost every day that week before. But all I knew was when I ate something, I just felt horrible. This went on for like 7 days. Andy recommended to take some activated charcoal, which I did. After about a day and a half of doing that, it just went away. Once I got over that, I was in the clear and I have felt great since. But the only issue is I really stayed stagnant for those 8 to 10 days. So coming out of it, I weighed 184.5. So I lost a half a pound over about a 10-day period. Once I started to feel better though, I started to implement exercise into my routine. You see, I never really exercised during the entire time that I was on keto. It wasn't something that was recommended by Andy. I didn't want to overdo it. And honestly, I was pretty busy anyway, so it was kind of difficult with the travel and everything that was going on to fit some exercise in. I was walking and things like that, but I wasn't going for any runs. I wasn't lifting or anything like that. But the last about 10 days during keto, I started to implement exercise in with my diet, in with my fasting. And the last 10 days, I lost 4.7 pounds. And when I weighed in on the final day, so through 60 days, which was Friday, May 3rd, I weighed 179.8. Woo! I did it. I ended up losing 22.2 pounds during the first 60 days of keto. At the 60-day mark, I did go in and get a physical, made sure that everything looked good. My body mass index, that started at 31%. During the course of the 60 days, I dropped it 4% down to 27. Now, normal BMI is somewhere in between that 20 to 24% range. Now, after talking with my doctor, getting down to 165 will put me somewhere at the middle to higher range of normal BMI for me. So my new goal is now to get to 165. During the entire 60 days I was on keto, I probably have never felt better, maybe outside of the last 3 or 4 weeks that I was through hiking the Appalachian Trail when I was probably in the best shape of my life. From a mental standpoint, I just felt so much more clear. I felt so great with not just the weight that I lost, but how my body felt, how my body was reacting, how I was sleeping. It just was a total transformation. So after all these results, I decided to stay on keto. My new goal is 165. My goal is to get there sometime by the end of summer. I'm gonna give myself 3.5 months, which I think is plenty of time. But I'm gonna continue to up the level of exercise. As a matter of fact, I'll be through hiking the Great Outdoor Challenge out in Scotland here in just a few days, which actually by the time that you're watching this, I'm on the trail right now. Now, do I recommend keto to others? There's so many different people that I talked to these last 60 days that were on keto, either before or currently, and it just is different for everyone. Everyone's body is gonna react a little bit different. So I don't wanna recommend it. I would consult your doctor, your physician, and see what's best for you. For me, it has worked, and I am so excited about the results that I've received and that I continue to receive and what's in store for me in the future. It has changed my life right now. Now, my hope is that the folks that are watching this video that are stuck, like I was a couple months ago, find this a little inspiring that there are answers. I'm not saying that keto is the answer, but what I learned from this is if you're really serious about losing weight, it is so much about diet and exercise and not just exercise. I have tried that. The only time I've ever had success was when I was walking 30 plus miles a day for 100 straight days. Most people aren't going to do that. And what I was eating wasn't healthy, which is why I gained so much weight after the trail back. Making healthy choices, moderating your meals, cutting down the sugar in your diet. All these things worked for me. And I'm telling you that if I can do it, so can you. I was at a bad place and I have never given a diet a try for more than 2 or 3 days. So I hope that you found this video valuable. I've really kind of opened up to where I was and where I'm at now. I'm excited for what's in store in the future. If you have any questions or comments about anything on this topic, go ahead and throw it below. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're interested in not just following my journey, but also interested in just getting outside and being more active. We have a lot more content in the upcoming weeks on the channel. Next week, I will be sharing with you how I intend to take keto on the trail, at least what my game plan is while I'm out in Scotland. Of course, we will have videos of my epic through hike of the great outdoors across Scotland hitting the channel when we get into June. That's it for me. I'll see everyone when I get back from Scotland. And until then, stay active and get outside.